what had to change for you? What what's
Well,
different, I guess, you know?
I had to first realize what I was doing that was giving you a negative about me, that I didn't love
Perception, yeah.
you or had any, and had no care about you. That for me was hard. I'm like, oh, how could that even happen? But I had
Yeah.
to look at myself. Well, how have I been responding? How have I been available? How have I nurtured this relationship? Especially we're family, and to
Mhm.
me, a family is should be a close relationship. I know it's not for everybody, and I'm still working on some of those areas of my family that have kind of slipped away. But I desire to have that closeness again. So that was the first thing, and that was me, because I get to control how I respond to my family members, the people that God has put around my life, my friends, my neighbors, whatever. So that's just about me. I can't expect everyone else to change so that
Right.
I can like them or interact with them or whatever. So that was the first thing, was figuring out how I was putting off a vibe that was not approachable. And that was hard for me to realize that and to understand and to work through some of those things. The second thing was not trying to have an opinion about everything that you were doing,
Mm,
because we think that our way is the best way. And
right.
because we like it and it feels good to us, that it has to be that way for everybody.
Mhm.
So I had to realize, you know what? Um, we are different people. We have a different purpose. We have a different path that God is leading us on. And who am I to have a negative thought, especially of God's creation?
Mhm.
So I worked really hard to renew my view. Okay, what bothers me so much? Well, the things that bothered me at the moment were ridiculous. It's like,
Mm,
why does that even bother me? It's really none of my
right.
business. So I had to change some of that thinking around and say, okay, you know what? That's really not a big deal. Why was it such a big deal? So that I had to figure that out for myself
Mhm.
and move toward that. Well, then I had to ask myself, so in all this change, I did, is my love real or is it superficial?
Mm,
Because I think we label things as love that aren't necessarily love.
yeah.
They're superficial things that we think are love because the world around us has said it's love. And so we get caught up in that. But that's not what love looks like a lot of times.
Mm,
And so I had to reevaluate, what does love look like? And even more than that, what is my expression of love to somebody else? What do I want that to look like? And
mm,
what does the word of God say it should look like? Because that also encompasses some of these fruits of the spirit.
yeah.
And so I prayed, my prayer was, Lord, help me to love people in a way that I want to be loved, and a way that they feel the love that I have
Yeah.
for them, no matter how wrong I get it on the outside or
Mm,
how wrong
yeah.
or stupid I might say something. And so I had to pray for that. So that was, so our changing of ourself gives an automatic transition and a shift to the things around us.
Yeah.
And so those steps are just some, I'm still working on a lot of these steps, but those are the things that I've been able to. And then walking out, walking out the things that I have. I still go out and I have opinions about stuff I shouldn't have opinions about.
Mhm.
I still go out and I have superficial love for people just because it's the thing that we do when we get together.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on those things. But I'm grateful that I understand now what's happening. And so when I see it in myself, I can work on changing it.
Right. Yeah, well, and the thing that really stands out to me and what the desire of my heart and my spirit is that people actually feel that love. You know what I mean? Like, and
Mhm.
you mentioned that idea of like, well, I love them, I'm doing these things, but I want them to actually be able to feel
Experience it.
that or
Yeah.
receive that. And some of that does take a little bit of like adaptation, because not everybody feels love in the same way, or
Right.
receives love in the same way, or they might need, like there's a different entry point, or there might be different words that you say, or different ways that you show up. And, they talk about the love language and all that sort of
I
stuff,
was
but
thinking
even
the same thing when you said that.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
they have
there's
love languages for that. So yeah,
yeah,
you're
so
so right.
uh-huh. And I think when we're dealing with like, like, and oftentimes, sometimes we're dealing with people who are traumatized or were harmed, or there was mistrust, whether it's specifically with you or with like the groups that you're a part of, right? Or the association, if you will. And
Yeah.
so, and one of the things that, just to get biblical again, it says that we will be known by our love, you know, and right? Isn't that like a biblical kind of thing? maybe.
Yes, 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 it is.
Is it?
It's also a song. They'll know we are Christians by our love.
Okay,
That's what I was thinking when you said that. But yeah, yeah, they will know us, yes, because of the love that we have for one another
right.
and the
Well, and
Lord.
that's like, I think that's the, again, I think that's like the biggest challenge for me at this point in my life, is getting to that place again where I can be known by love, and not just by some people, or like the people like me, because there are a lot
Mhm.
of people who love me, right? And they know it and I feel it and whatever. But there are people really close in my life that I care dearly for, that I don't know if that love is felt, or where we're at. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I feel like for me, those are the areas that I really want to find a way to be known, um, by my love for them,
Okay. Okay.
if that
So
makes sense.
what do you think that might look like? Is it an outward
Girl, I don't
expression?
know.
Is it a
I thought,
inward?
yeah, I thought you were going to teach me that today. That's what
Ah,
no, I mean,
well, I think I've shared with you a little bit.
totally, yeah.
I have decided in my life, especially where my family's concerned. So, and if any of my family's listening, don't be offended. But you don't get to tell me I can't love you.
Right.
So when I love somebody, I want to reach out to them. I want to call them. I want to spend time with them. I want to encourage them. And so I am just taking that step to do that. And sometimes they receive it and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And I have to be okay with that. But I'm determined, because me being a woman of faith, I feel like that, by me not having a relationship with my family, that I've had something stolen from me.
Mhm.
And I've allowed it to a point because I just didn't fight for it. And I'm done doing that.
Yeah.
I am fighting for those relationships with my family, and I am fighting for those relationships with those people that I know that God has put around me for a purpose. And so I've just decided, and so until
Mhm.
God tells me nope, I'm going to
Yeah.
keep doing that. So that's me. That's
Yeah,
my
and I think for me, I think I get in the way. Like, there's still, like,
it's easy
parts
to
of
do.
me there are still parts of me that feel like they need to be validated or seen, or that maybe I just, for whatever reason, I can't seem to be willing to let go of some of those things, and and for me, I know that's like the work for me to do, because it really shouldn't matter all that much in the end. And I know, like, and I think I've learned that a lot being in relationship with you, that um it hasn't taken us to change one another. Like,
Mm-mm.
you are different and you're different with me, and I do think that makes it easier when the other person is coming at you in a similar way, or trying. And I think sometimes that's what feels hard. And also the thing, I don't know, it's so I think there's still a part of me. um I think a lot of the people that I want in my life more, I just don't think they know how to show up for me. And I think I still have, like, I have an expectation
Yeah.
of how they show up and what they need to say and what they need to do in order for me to be like, okay, cute. you know and
That's a lot
and
of
I
pressure to put on someone.
it totally is. And I it's and I can't, and I'm working on being able to let that go, because that's not the desire of my heart. That is not what I want to have happen, but it's something that I've really been challenged by.
Yeah.
And in some ways, we get mixed messages about it too. Sometimes we need to just, it's like, when do you, I don't know. It's like, when do you let, like, when do you, yeah. So, I think
Yeah.
there's just an element of
So,
surrender
yeah.
to love in all its forms that I'm still, you know, that's where I'm at. And it's
That's that.
sad. It's sad to me that I'm in my way of being in relationship with some people in my life because I can't seem to, like
It's
be
hard.
vulnerable enough, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's exactly the word I was going to say. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to take a position that you think that is less than what you want it to be. So I had to really change my mindset, and
Hmm.
changing my mindset from um, people having to receive me a certain way or whatever. Because I've learned I can just get in there and God will tell me, okay, girlfriend, you need to do some of this and you need to do some of this. If you want to build this relationship, they're communicating with you now. But if you want to build this relationship, it's going to take some more change in your side.
Yeah.
Because what I found is change on my side usually prompts change on the other side. But I
Mm.
really had to tell my, and I know I already said it. I had to really take on that. Nope, I am not going to have these relationships stolen from me. These particular relationships were given to me on the day I was born, and I am not letting them be taken from me.
Mm.
And that just, I'm tenacious. I'm
Yeah.
headstrong. I'm motivated. And so once I set that goal that those things were not going to be taken away from me, then I started working on myself. Okay, how do I get the courage to make the first phone call? And how do I get the courage to keep making the phone call when they don't call me ever?
Right.
You know what I mean? And there are times I still am like, gosh, I feel like I'm the only one in this relationship because I'm doing all the work. But
Hmm.
you know what? I am not going to let that relationship be stolen from me. So I have just enough headstrong in me and that first goal to keep going. And then I'm finding the fruit of that has been pretty incredible.
Hmm.
To be able to have conversations. I went for years not knowing what some of my family members' favorite color was, or their favorite food is, or what made them smile. And so it's like I am not settling for that any longer. And
Was
so we just have to fight for that. I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah.
mean to keep talking.
Oh, no, no, it's great. I'm just curious, is there a time when you, I guess, throw your hands up or you're like,
Not for me.
so is the thought just to find a new way
Yep.
or
To find I believe that there's restoration. And you know what? Until they say to me, "Oh, you're disgusting. Leave me alone. I don't ever want to see you again."
mm,
That might be something too, but I don't know that I could even then because I know that there was purpose in the relationship that was given to me when I was put on this earth. And
mm,
even if it's just happened to overcome that statement, then I'm going to keep doing it.
yeah. So
And
if they
I,
did say that to you, what would that look like?
what would it look like?
Or like
Well,
how would you respond to that, I guess?
I think I would say thank you
Mm,
because the first thing would be, okay, now I don't have to wonder what you're thinking. I
yeah.
know. I know what I have to deal with. I know what I have to pray about. I know when I come at you what that looks like, even if I
Mm,
come at you the way I think is right. So I would cause me maybe a moment of pause to reevaluate my position, but I think I would still show up, and maybe the show up would be not as aggressive as it was before, but I think I would still show up. And just because when we show up, and you and I have had this experience, when we show up for one another, it changes our heart. If we've even gotten annoyed at one another or offended at one another, if we continue to show up for one another, we were eventually able to talk that through.
yeah.
We're eventually able to experience something different and grow individually and together. So I think there's always that potential. And so because it's my family, my God given family at the time of my birth, I just won't. So all of you out there saying, "Oh, Tina's calling me again," just know I'm gonna keep on,
Yeah.
even if you don't
Mm,
call me back.
yeah. Is
So,
has an act of love been at all to not show up?
an act of love on for
Like, is there a time to not show up, I guess, for people that is loving?
yeah. Um, I'm going through one right now. I have a dear friend that I love very, very much. Um, she's an older person and she spends a lot of time by herself.
Mhm.
And I love being there with her and for her and helping her. And I realized that it was keeping her family from doing those things for her
Mm,
and was causing a challenge. although they didn't seem to want to do those things for her, which is why I started doing those things for her. And I've had to step back. And it upsets her very much. She's always asking me if I'm mad at her or if there's something wrong, and it breaks my heart. But I'm now seeing that the people around her that should be her family are starting to engage at a small level, which still breaks my heart.
Mm,
So I still try to fill in where I can and where I feel is appropriate so that I can leave space for that family to love this beautiful woman,
mhm,
because I love this amazing woman, and it blows me away that they can't see her for the amazing person that she is.
mhm.
So
And
to me, that's an act of love.
mhm. And how did you come to that realization or conclusion, or, how did you come to be aware of that, I guess?
She asked me to give her a ride to the doctor's office. And I did. I gave her a ride to the doctor's office. But when we got there, she asked me to go into the visit with her. And I was like, oh, I didn't feel that that was something that I should do since I'm not a family member, but that's private.
Mhm,
And she insisted. So I went in, and the doctor thought I was her family member
mm,
and started asking me all these questions that I could not answer.
uh-huh,
And questions that she also couldn't answer. She's an older woman and doesn't remember everything. So it was obvious she needed an advocate there with her.
mm.
And as much as she wanted me to be that person, I wasn't qualified.
You weren't the person, yeah.
And I needed to make a decision. Either I'm going to take that on, but to take that on is taking on a family, because we know how things happen.
Yeah.
And so when I spoke to my husband and I prayed about it, and I had to tell my friend that I could not be that advocate, especially for that type of purpose, and that
Mhm,
as much as I loved her, there was going to have to be some things that I could not do for her that she would have to have her family do for her. And she didn't want to ask them. I don't want to ask them. They don't ever talk to me. They're not around. They don't call me. They don't check on me. I go, I understand, but you need to really. I said, I'll help you. I'll sit with you and I'll make those calls with you. I says, but you really need to. So yeah,
mm.
that's when I realized that nope, because yeah, I can't, I just can't. I don't even
Yeah,
know how to articulate it. It's not
yeah,
because I don't want to. It's because I can't. I feel like I'm in the way from a restoration process for this family. Because sometimes restoration takes place out of necessity,
yeah,
and then the rest of it comes along. I have to do this for this person. I have to do this. They need this. They need this. But eventually, you're like, oh, I kind of enjoyed talking to this person. Oh, we looked at their pictures. You know what I'm saying? I
mhm,
think it's
yeah,
the same starting point. So anyway,
yeah. Well, and I think part of that too is I think sometimes what can be overwhelming is like, what do I have the capacity for? Like we only have the energy for so much. So it's like if I'm putting so much energy, say in this relationship or this situation, what am I what is it taking from potentially from other relations? So you know what I mean? Whether like so I think
mhm.
that's something because there's only so much we can do because probably to some degree now that you're not showing up for her in that way, sorry to use this example,
Yeah,
maybe that's freeing you up to show up for other relationships
yeah.
that that
That's
can
always
bear
been
fruit as well.
right, and that was off balance, and so therefore it couldn't be as fruitful as I believe the Holy Spirit wanted it.
Yeah,
I still check on her. I see her every week, a couple times a week. I pick her up and take her with me just about everywhere, so she's not in her home by herself. But
yeah.
it's just different.
Yeah, I think I really have appreciated this conversation, and I I am at a point. I've been at a point in my life in a lot of ways where I think if to put it in the framework of this conversation is that I think I had become very dissatisfied with my fruit, and it's not necessarily that it was bad fruit, um, but it wasn't nourishing me in the ways that I've wanted. And I think I'm at another place in my life right now where I'm really trying to discern, you know, where am I going to put my energy?
Mm,
Where am I going to put myself? Where am I going to place plant my tree? Where am I going to plant
mm,
myself? And what relationships am I going to work with that are going to ultimately help me um, get the results. And one of the things that I'm really trying to figure out, and a desire that's come onto my heart recently, and maybe something you can help me with, but I really want to show up for my community more. I feel like I've been so needy, which is okay and fine. But I
Mhm.
really want to find a way to be able to balance the getting my needs met, getting my nourishment as well, but also still being able to show up for other people, because I feel like that's the part that's been I've been not present for, um,
Mm.
how I can show up for other people in my life that I care about. Um, and that's something I'm just working on. So I guess I'm just
Yeah.
putting that out in the world, that is the desire of my heart, is to be able to get beyond my own anxieties, my own fear of bothering somebody, or I don't know, whatever, to just kind of be like, hey, how are you doing? Um,
Yeah.
because I that comes to my mind a lot, but I often don't check in on people.
Mm.
Um, I,
That's important. I found that if I'm reaching out to someone else, some of those other things that I have inside, um, find peace.
mm, yeah.
So I try to look outside myself as much as I can. So I'll be praying with you about that. These are not easy steps, and some of these steps are lifelong.
Yeah.
Because as we grow and as we learn and as we bear fruit, we
Well,
want that fruit to continue to grow and be luscious.
and
And
different fruits have their season, right?
right,
So,
well, and also don't forget to have good fruit. You have to be pruned,
mhm, yeah.
and that's never fun.
Ooh, that's true, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
so there's a whole process there. So
yeah,
anyway,
we are at that 45-minute mark, and
okay.
I got to get to work.
All right.
But it's such a great conversation. Thanks, folks who were listening today.
Yes, yes.
I feel like there was a lot of listening and not much questions today, which is great. If you're coming across this later, whether watching us or listening to us, do leave us comments, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next week, same time, same place. Do you want to say goodbye, Tina?
Yep. See you guys. Have a great week. And don't forget, Splintered Grace.
All right, bye-bye. Splintered Grace podcast is brought to you by a queer chaplain. Follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at A Queer Chaplain. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Feel free to tip us at Venmo, Bonnie Violet, and support monthly on Patreon. The song is original by Stephen Sandknopp, The Chasm Between Us. Rest in peace, Stephen.